Welcome to the channel. Today I'll be going over episode 3 of the anime solo leveling. To catch you up to speed with where we're at now, if you'd like, please pause the video now and go back and watch the previous videos leading up to this episode. If not, just a brief recap on where we are at this point. Our main protagonist, Sung Jin-woo, is the weakest ranked hunter. The ranking systems go from E to S, S being your highest, E being the weakest. Sung Jin-woo found himself in a hunter's party that was exploring a fairly weak dungeon. Him and the 13 individuals went inside the dungeon. They discovered that there was another dungeon within that dungeon. They were locked inside this chamber, and from there, basically, large statues were activated. It forced them to perform different acts based on deciphering the text on a stone tablet. In the process, several of the party members were killed off, and only 5 or 6 of the party members survived. And due to the sacrifice of a severely injured Sung Jin-woo, he has basically offered himself up as the sacrifice to allow the remaining members of the party to escape, and that basically forced him to take a last stand against the statues that were attacking the party. And episode 2 ends off with a statue delivering the death blow to Jin-woo as he lays on the altar. And it's at that point that a screen is presented to Sung Jin-woo, and basically that screen reads off, and Sung Jin-woo, he selects yes. And this is where episode 3 opens up, with Sung Jin-woo waking up in a hospital bed. And while he's coming to terms with where he's at, he's basically taking inventory of all of his limbs, because as we all know, during the conflict with the statues, he lost a leg and he lost an arm. And he's waking up in the hospital with all of his limbs intact. Also, while he's in the hospital, we find out, due to a dialogue between him and 2 Hunter Guild Association members, that he has actually been passed out in the hospital recuperating for the past 3 days. Then it's at this point we discover that the association members believe that due to the account of all of the survivors, it was expected that Sung Jin-woo should have actually been dead. And so they believe that Jin-woo has experienced a second awakening. And it goes on to explain that normally when hunters get their power level assessed in their initial assessment, whatever level ranking that they're at, that is basically their set limit. They don't move up or down out of whatever their assessed rank is. So you can essentially start off, and if you are one of the lucky or chosen few individuals that happens to just be inherently blessed with a high amount of power, you can be S rank at the beginning of your hunter career. Likewise, if unfortunately you go and get the assessment and you're ranked at E, like our protagonist Jin-woo, there's no amount of training or practice or dungeon diving that you can do that can actually improve your ranking and allow you to move up the ranks in power level. Basically, you're ranked with where you're ranked at, and there's no moving up. We also see that when he goes and takes his assessment to find out if he's gone through a second awakening, the association members determine that he's at the same rank that he was at prior to going into the dungeon, and that's still being an E-ranked hunter. And they basically just pack up and leave at that point. Jin-woo, however, does feel like something happened to him while he was in the dungeon. He's just not quite sure what transpired. we see that he's basically playing with a heads-up display that only he's able to see, where he basically sees a display of a quest that's just generated in front of him on a display screen, and it gives out certain parameters as far as how far he should run, push-ups, sit-ups, and other set physical requirements. It looks like a training regimen for him, and then it gives him a warning that there's penalty if he does not complete the quest. And of course, Jinwoo, he does not know what to expect, so he blows off the quest and he goes back to resting. Now, to his own peril, because Jinwoo decided to ignore the quest and did not complete it, the penalty was that he's forcibly transported into another location where he's confronted with these sand-dwelling centipede monsters that proceed to attack him. And he's given a new forced quest on needing to stay alive within a set parameter of time. Luckily enough, Jinwoo survives the ordeal and he's transported back to the hospital. So we shortly skip forward a few days and rejoin Jinwoo as he's completing his daily quest. We find out that through his exposition, he's been doing these daily quests and then he receives little gifts and rewards at the end of them. Most of the time they've been things that were pretty much insignificant in value to him. However, in this particular scene, he receives a key that allows him to have access to an instant dungeon. And we see that through completing his daily quest, he's also able to level up, essentially something that's naturally unheard of any other hunter being able to do. Further on in the episode, we get a scene where Jinwoo wants to test his mettle with his newfound skills and his newfound physique, entering into the instant dungeon using the key that he received from his reward loot. Within the dungeon, Jinwoo is confronted by 3 goblins, and during his combat we find that he's actually able to hold his own. Just 2 episodes ago, he was struggling just to stay alive against 1 goblin. He's pretty much feeling himself at this time. And the feeling of success is short-lived. A steel-fanged wolf approaches, presenting itself as his next challenge. And in the process of fighting this new creature, his dagger is destroyed, leaving him unarmed, taking on a creature that poses much more of a challenge than the 3 goblins. And well, the episode leaves us off with the steel-fanged wolf in mid-lunge against an unarmed Jinwoo. So definitely stay tuned as I continue to review more episodes of the Solo Leveling anime series. And I'll greatly appreciate if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, happy watching.